yada dai 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 dai, yada dai 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 oh, yada dai 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 dai, yada dai 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 dai, yada dai 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 oh, yada dai 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 dai, yada dai 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 dai, yada dai 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 oh. Just one more time, only one more time, I promise. Yada dai 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 dai, yada dai 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 dai, yada dai 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 oh, yada dai 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 dai, yada dai 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 dai, yada dai 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 oh, yada dai 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 dai, yada dai 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 dai, yada dai 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 oh, yada dai 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 dai, yada dai 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 dai, yada dai 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 oh. Shabbat shalom, everyone. It is so good to see all of you here in the sanctuary at 5200 Old Mill Road, and those of you from near and far, stretching across the entire continent, near as I can tell, who are joining us on Zoom, wherever we are sitting tonight, whether the temperature outside is 55 degrees, or last time I checked in the Western Valley in LA, about 88 degrees, wherever it is, wherever you are, we are one community tonight. And it is just so wonderful to be with you. And we are joined tonight by two special guests, Isaac and Rabbi Shauna Brinjagard Bialik, who are going to be teaching us about the spooky, yes or no, traditions in Jewish life. And they're just fantastic. I am so excited they're with us tonight. We will hear from them in a little while. And as we come together, as we do as a community on Shabbat, let us continue on page 128, page 128 with our gathering song, our gathering prayer, Hine Matov. Hine matov manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov manayim shevet achyot gam yachad. Hine matov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov shevet achyot gam yachad. Hine matov manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov manayim shevet achyot gam yachad. Hine matov manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov manayim shevet achyot gam yachad. Hine matov yalalai yalalai yalalai. Hine matov yalalai yalalai yalalai. Hine matov manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov manayim shevet achyot gam yachad. Hine matov, how good it is for all of us to be together on this Shabbat night. And we will continue with a psalm, which we haven't been singing a lot of psalms since we began Minhag Zoom way back in the in 2020, if we can remember back that far. And gradually, I'm wanting to add some of those things back in that we stopped doing because, you know, when we're all on screens all the time, we had to make things a little shorter. And now we're getting used to being on screens and we are together in person. So we're going to sing tonight Psalm 95. And we will be using a handout that you should have gotten on your way in. If you don't have a handout, you can raise your hand and our trusty and able usher Mike Rush will get one to you. This is we've been singing this for a couple of weeks now. My goal is, we sing it a few weeks and then we learn it. So there's a method to my madness. Let us sing and let us rejoice. Lechu neranenai, lai 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 lai, Ladonai, lai 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 lai, Litzur Yishenu, lai 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 lai. Now it's Litzur Yishenu, lai 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 lai. Let us sing out to God, maker of all, sure and strong. Let all of creation from mountain to sea hear our song. Lechu neranena, lai 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 lai, Ladonai. Yai la 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 la, Naria. Yai la 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 la, Litzur Yishenu. Yai la 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 la. For all of the wonder in all of God's light, we rejoice. So now let us listen with all of our heart to hear God's voice. Lechu neranena, yai la 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 la, Ladonai, yai la 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 la, Naria, yai la 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 la, Litzur Yishenu, yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la, yai la la la, yai la. Our service continues on page 127. Page 126, actually. Let us read together on page 126. I begin with the prayer of gratitude for all that is holy in my life. God needs no words, no English or Hebrew, no semantics, and no services, but I need them. Through prayer, I can sense my inner strength, my inner purpose, my inner joy, my capacity to love. As I reach upward in prayer, I sense these qualities in my Creator. To love God is to love each other, to work to make our lives better. To love God is to love the world God created and to work to perfect it. To love God is to love dreams of peace and joy that illumine all of us and to bring that vision to life. Now, as a holy community, we prepare to enter Shabbat. I'd like to invite you now to create a little space inside of you, a little space for a moment of quiet, for a moment of reflection, maybe even a moment for just a tiny bit of meditation. Tonight, as we enter Shabbat, we let go of. I want you to think about those things that are not serving you well tonight, things that will be a distraction from you in experiencing Shabbat joy. Tonight, we let go of. Take a moment to think of those things. Tonight, as we prepare to enter Shabbat, we gather our blessings. Take a moment and think of all of the things in your life that are a blessing to you in this moment. Tonight, we enter Shabbat in shalom, in peace. What is peaceful to you? What does peace look like? What does peace sound like? What does peace feel like? Tonight, as we enter Shabbat, we have shlemut, wholeness. We are okay exactly as we are. We are reflections of godliness. Now, as we are ready to enter Shabbat, I'd like to invite Mimi and Don Zellman to the Bima. You will find the blessing for the lighting of Shabbat candles on page 120. You'll find the blessing on page 120. And as Mimi and Don make their way up, we were talking about blessings a minute ago. You've had some simchot in your family in the last few weeks. B'nai mitzvah time too. Yeah, it's wonderful. How wonderful you're able to be there, and I'm so glad you're back with us this Shabbat. So the candle blessing is on page 120.
Amen.
Amen. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the lights of Shabbat. Thank you so much. Shabbat shalom. We'll continue our service on page 138. Page 138 in the words of the piyut, the prayer, the poem, Lecha Dodi. The prayer that reminds us that every time we enter Shabbat, it is like returning home to see all of those beloveds in our life. All of those beloveds in our life right now, this night, in this moment, and all of the beloveds we have ever had. We carry them with us, and when we see them, we feel the joy. It is that joy, that spark that we feel when we enter Shabbat. We will sing verses 1, 5, and 9. And when we come to the last verse, I'll invite you to stand. And those of us in the sanctuary will face the door. And those of you at home, face a door or an open window, wherever you think it is that you are going to be able to send your prayers so they can go out into the world and be wherever they are needed most. Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala P'nei Shabbat Nikabela Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala P'nei Shabbat Nikabela Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala P'nei Shabbat Nikabela Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad Ishmianu el hamiuchad Adonai echad Ushmo echad L'shemu tiferet beit Hila Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala P'nei Shabbat Nikabela Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala P'nei Shabbat Nikabela Hitoreri Hitoreri Kiva Ore Kumi Ori Uri, Uri, Shidaberi, Kevod Adonai, Alaich Nigra, Lecha Dodi, Likadat Kala, Pnei Shabbat, Nekabela, Lecha Dodi, Likadat Kala, Pnei Shabbat Nekabela. Boi v'shalom materet bala, gam besimcha uvetzola, toch emunei am segula. Boi kala, lecha dodi, likarat kala, Pnei Shabbat, nekabela lecha dodi, likarat kala, Pnei Shabbat, nekabela. Let us take a moment of greeting. If you're in the sanctuary, wave to each other from where you are. If you're at home, put your screen on gallery view so you can see everybody. And one more instruction, everybody in the sanctuary, take a look at the camera where Samara is. There we go. And we can all see each other. We have a moment as one community. Shabbat shalom, everybody. And there's Brian. Everyone's waving back. That is fantastic. All right. We will actually continue on page 144 with Chatzi Kaddish. We will remain standing. Page 144. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbi. El Mari Vracheote ve'amlik malchute v'chayechon uvyomechon uvchaye de kol beit Israel bagala uvizman kariv v'meru amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevorach le'alamu al me'al maya Yitbarach, v'ishtabach, v'ipar v'itnoram v'itnaseh, v'ithadar v'italev v'ithalal, shemeda kudusha barichu, le'elat min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma, v'meru amen. Please turn the page. Come all of you, come all of us, and bless the one who blesses. Blessed is the blessed one. Blessed is the giver of blessing. Blessed in this moment now and every now to come. Come all of you, come all of us, and bless the one who blesses. We continue with Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. You may be seated. Our service continues on page 149. Let us read together at the bottom of the page. This is an hour of change. Within it, we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it, we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my sister, my brother, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai hamariv aravim. Let us turn the page, and we will continue on the bottom of page 151. Let us read responsively. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol. All these things your Torah gives to us. And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love together than this holiest of your works and the living language that gives it form? Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Israel. We turn the page. Please rise as you are able for Shema. Shema Israel, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. You may be seated. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בעיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתיכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. Let us turn to page 158. In a moment, we will sing Micha Mocha, our people's prayer of redemption. And as we prepare, I'd like for you to place yourselves in the moment that the Israelites found themselves in when they were standing before an enormous expanse of water. And behind them, they could hear, they could feel the rumbling, the vibration of an army of Pharaoh's soldiers pursuing them. What were they going to do? How could they trust that it would be okay? We know how the story turns out. And so we can imagine their utter jubilation when they reached the other side and they sang this prayer. Yai lai 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 yai lai 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 yai lai 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 yai la lai 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 mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh nora tehilot osef ele nora tehilot osef ele Malechutecha ra'u vanecha bokei lifnei Moshe u'Miriam zelianu ve'amru zelianu ve'ameru Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. We turn now to page 161. Let us read together at the top of the page. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. Let us turn to page 164 and prepare for the Amidah, the blessings that we offer God that are so central to our worship. In a moment, we will rise and we will pray together the words on the page, either on the right-hand side of the page or the left-hand side of the page, in Hebrew or in English, or the prayers in your heart. Wherever your eye, wherever your soul is drawn, that is exactly your prayer this night. And let us take a moment to prepare to find our blessings, and to add them, and to offer them to the Eternal One. Please rise as you are able. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor, v'Hanora, El Elyon, Kol Mel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'konei Hakol, Ve'zocher Chasdei Avot ve'imahot, U'mevi Gula livnei v'nehem, Leman Shemo be'ahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshiach u'Magen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechaye hakol atah rav lehoshia. Mashiv haruach u'morid hagashem. Mechalkel chayim bechesed. Mechaye hakol berachamim rabim. Somech noflim berofech holim, umatir asurim, umekayem emunato lishenei afar, michamocha ba'al gevurot, umido melach, Melech memit umechaye umatzmiach Yeshua v'neman atah l'chayot hakol Baruch atah Adonai mechaye hakol Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh u'kedoshim b'chol yom yahalucha selah Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. Please continue praying silently. We continue on page 180, 180. Let us pray for peace. Ose shalom bimromav uyase shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol Yoshvei Tevel Yimeru Amen Yimeru Amen Yimeru Amen Yimeru Amen. Let us turn now to page 371. We have come to the time when we pray for the healing of body and of mind and of spirit of those whom we love and those in our community. I'm going to read our communal Mishaberach list, and when I come to the end, I'll pause and invite you to add the names of anyone for whom you are praying this Shabbat. We pray for the healing of Rena Black, Louis Bloom, Ruth Bloom, Andrew Bosell, Pircha Bat Bracha, Adolf Breitman, Adrienne Breitman, Roberta Butts, Todd Crego, Jeremy Elder, Tobias Enright, Tony Ficcaro, Michael Linderman, Renee Marver, Kaylin Nagel, Tom O'Neill, Janet Rosenberg, Cheryl Choret, Debbie Choret, Gary Smythe, Bobby Williams. And we pray for Leah Dolan and Rena Sophia Dolan. And to these names we add Jack, Carol, Sarah, Bonnie. Let us offer the Misha Berach for healing, which you will find in the middle of page 371. Misha Berach avotenu mekor habracha limotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misha Berach imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. And now we've come to a moment in the service that I have been waiting for weeks. I'm very, very excited. I am going to be introducing our guest sermonizers in just a moment. And as I introduce them, I'm going to mention a moment of logistics. We're going to be hearing and seeing our guests on that screen over there. And if you are sitting on this side of the room, check it out. See how it feels. Is your neck going to get a little tense if you are sitting where you are? If so, please feel free at this moment to get up and move to this side of the room. It's up to you, but it's totally okay to do that. Just wanted to let you know how it was going to be working. So I am incredibly, incredibly excited to introduce the husband and wife dynamic duo, Isaac and Rabbi Shauna Brinjagard Bialik. They spend a lot of their time talking about Judaism, comic books, and art. And they are so excited to be here with us tonight to let us in on their conversation. They have an amazing ability to bring together scholarship and a contemporary reinterpretation of our stories, both through the teaching, which you will experience tonight, and through the traditional art of paper cutting, which many of us will experience on Sunday afternoon on Zoom. Isaac Brinjagard Bialik cuts up comic books, and he reassembles them into paper cuts that explore the stories of the Jewish people, connecting popular culture and sacred texts. He has shown his paper cuts in galleries across the globe and has commissions in museums, synagogues, hospitals, and private collections, including my office. I'd be happy to show you sometime. Isaac speaks regularly about the intersection of art and Judaism and has written on this topic for the CCAR Press and maintains an annual summer residency at URJ Camp Newman. Additionally, Isaac has designed some beautiful book covers of books that have been published within the last couple of years by the CCAR Press, and he is the creator of paper tefillah. If I've got the title right. But remember when we were entirely on Zoom, the images of the prayers that we showed, that is Isaac's work that we have been enjoying as a community. So that's Isaac. But Rabbi Shauna Brinjagard Bialik also has an amazing story. She adapts traditional Jewish concepts to a modern Reform context and brings that synergy to students of all ages, just like we have in our room tonight. She is an engaging teacher of Torah, bringing text to life in her unique modern perspective. Rabbi Shauna received a Master of Hebrew Letters in I won't say the year, from Hebrew Union College Jewish Institute of Religion in Cincinnati, and was ordained as a member of HUC JIR's first Los Angeles class. That campus is my alma mater. She was among the first group of rabbis to be ordained there. They started the program there later. Shauna has served as an associate rabbi at Temple Ahavat Shalom in Northridge, California, has been a member of the faculty of URJ Camp Newman every summer for the past 13 years, and was the Porter Creek site director in the summer of 2019. And she has taught on the campus at HUC in Los Angeles. And in fact, I've had the opportunity to sit in a classroom and learn from Rabbi Shauna. I am super, super excited to introduce Isaac and Rabbi Shauna Brinjagard Bialik, who are going to have an amazing, amazing story to tell us, drawn from our own tradition. So now I am taking a second to turn it over to Isaac and Rabbi Shauna, and I'm going to let you know when we can see and hear you in the room. Looks like we can see you. Say hello.
Hello and Shabbat Shalom.
Okay. Shabbat Shalom.
We can hear you, so take it away.
Great.
Well, thank you very much for that elaborate introduction that we have to live up to now.
We're really excited to be here with you, even virtually, and to share some of what we do with you.
Yeah, this time of year, of course, we have Halloween right around the corner, right?
Right. So it's a time when we're already talking about things like witches and demons. So we thought we'd take you through a little bit of the Jewish world of witches and demons.
Yeah, now, we love stories about witches. If any of you are fans of the Marvel Universe, you may know WandaVision, which is a TV show all about witches and magic and all kinds of kooky stuff. And this is from their Halloween episode.
Right, and witch stories are great, and we like them in Judaism too, but the Torah seems to say that we're not supposed to pay attention to witches. In fact, we're told in the book of Exodus not to tolerate a sorceress. And yet, we don't always take that advice. There's a very famous story later in Tanakh, in Prophets, about the first king of Israel, Saul, and his encounter with the witch of Endor.
Endor. I love that movie. The Ewoks, all that great stuff.
Not this Endor.
Oh, so this Endora, right? From Bewitched, classic show. Yeah, great.
So not this Endora either, but they did take her name from the witch of Endor.
So tell me a little bit then about this other witch.
So Saul is about to face an important battle, and he is nervous and he is worried. And his mentor and the prophet Samuel, who was his connection to God, has passed away. And he doesn't know what to do going into this battle. So he asks to find a woman who consults ghosts, to find the witch of Endor, to help him connect him to the ghost of Samuel, to help him and answer his questions and help him make sense about what's going on. And so she knows that actually witchcraft is illegal in Judaism. Saul, in fact, is the king who said you can't have witchcraft. And so at first she says, no, I can't do this. There's a death penalty for this. And Saul in disguise says, no, it's okay. I promise you, you're going to be okay. But I need you to bring up the ghost of Samuel. So we think she probably recognized him. She brings up the ghost of Samuel, who is not at all happy about this. And in fact tells Saul that this is the last night of his life. The battle tomorrow is not going to be going well. And in fact, David is going to ultimately become the next king of Israel. It is a story kind of like WandaVision in that it is about grief. He misses the person that supports him, that's helped him figure things out. He can no longer talk to him. And so he goes to these extreme lengths to raise his ghost, to get advice and to find out what to do next.
Yeah, because WandaVision is all about grief. Wanda is distraught at the loss of some loved ones, and it's really what drives, in many ways, the power of her magic and her susceptibility to other people's evil magic.
Right, because she winds up in her grief. She winds up believing that this is her, and spoiler if you haven't watched it yet, that this is her brother,
That's
Pietro,
right, yeah.
who is also deceased.
Yeah, she saw her brother die, and all of a sudden he's back in her life, but it turns out it's not her brother at all. He's actually being possessed by a malevolent spirit, one of the villains in the story. It's not her brother.
Well, this is sort of like a Dybbuk, right, which is a Jewish kind of a demon, a clinging demon, right? And you may have heard of the famous Yiddish theater play back from, about 100 years ago, called the Dybbuk, about being possessed by a malicious spirit.
Right, so the way I think about it is Spider-Man, who has this costume that we may know as Venom. He thinks it's just this suit, and it turns out to be an alien life form that possesses him and forces him to do things that he wouldn't otherwise do.
Right. So we see actually in anecdotes that Dybbuks seem to pop up most often in young women that are about to be married in an arranged marriage to someone who maybe they did not choose or might be a lot older than them, that a Dybbuk seems to appear and it requires an exorcism and sometimes actually also gets her out of the marriage. So Dybbuks actually wind up kind of finding their way in pop culture as well, this idea of being possessed.
Yeah, not just the original play, but variations on it. There have been these Dybbuk boxes floating around in common mythology. Movies like The Possession are based on that. And even the Coen brothers have used the Dybbuk figure in one of their films. So we see it over and over again. People do get really engaged with this idea of Dybbuk in our lives around us.
Right, that sense that maybe there's something dangerous that can make you do something that you wouldn't normally do. Right, and Post Malone had a Dybbuk episode followed by 3 traumatic incidents, and they had to get rid of his Dybbuk box.
Yeah, all I know is my Apple newsfeed was telling me that TMZ had a story about the tattooed musician and a box that he bought off eBay, and it was haunted. We do get obsessed with these kinds of stories.
We do. We actually, because we have so many demon stories in Judaism. So demon stories, we don't really see them in Torah. We see them more in Talmud. By the time we get to the Kabbalah is really obsessed with demons and how they're made and what their names are. But we're told in Talmud that if you could see all the demons around us, that nobody could handle it, that we're surrounded by demons, right? 1,000 to your left and 10,000 to their right, that nobody would be able to handle seeing all of the demons that surround us.
I mean, it sounds like a little science fiction or a comic book story, right? Where the hero is beset on all sides by demons. Obviously a nice little rabbinic fiction. But the demons aren't always these big bad guys. Sometimes they're just, mischievous little imps, like Superman's villain, Mr. Mxyzptlk, who's just causing trouble.
And we see that actually with a lot of demon stories, that they are just causing trouble, that you have to be especially careful around times that you might be vulnerable or dangerous. So after dark, in the bathroom, you have to be especially careful about leaving food out overnight under your bed.
I keep saying that just sounds like something parents would tell their teenagers to keep them from sneaking food into their bedrooms.
Well, you kind of have to wonder if some of that demonology, right, protect from demons and ants and insects. But demons in this plethora of demons helps kind of explain other unknown things. So the rabbis ask, why would the pants of a scholar ever wear out? They don't do much. They're not active. Why would their clothes become tattered? And the answer is, of course, demons. Why do people crowd around the Torah? Demons. Why do your feet hurt sometimes and you're not sure why? Demons. They're kind of this like every answer, right? That they appear in times when we're vulnerable or in times that something great might be happening, that they will show up to ruin it. So in fact, the thing that we do to prevent them from ruining our good time, probably the most famous thing that we do to protect against demons, we break a glass at a wedding.
That's right, and here you can see the Jewish superhero Ben Grimm, known as the Thing, at his recent wedding under the chuppah, breaking a glass because he's Jewish, and he's doing it to scare away demons.
Yeah, that we have this really elaborate demonology. Many of them have names. One of the most famous named demons is Lilith.
Now, Lilith, I know because there's a feminist Jewish magazine called Lilith, and it's about, feminist issues. It's very modern, very contemporary.
Right, and the magazine actually takes their name from the demon Lilith. So the story of the demon Lilith is that when God first created the first humans, they were created equal out of the same earth. And when Adam said to Lilith, "I'm superior to you," she said, "No, you're not. We're both from the same earth." And he went and complained to God, and she went, "If you're not going to believe in equality, I'm out of here." She pronounces the unpronounceable name of God, and she flies away. And when she does that, right, she gets this reputation as really, I think, one of the most malicious demons. Lilith is the demon that is dangerous to pregnant women, to childbirth, to newborn babies, right? At a particularly vulnerable time that Lilith is considered to be especially cruel, right? Now, if we think about also back in history, that this was kind of a dangerous and precarious time, that we don't always understand what happens in pregnancy and childbirth and with newborns, and that it is a vulnerable time. And so to kind of explain that, we get that Lilith, who really is this feminist icon. She calls Adam out. She gets turned into this horrible demon that we need protection from. And ultimately what happens is she flies off and God sends 3 angels, Senoi, Sansenoi, and Smangaloth, to bring her back to Adam. And she says, "No way." And they said, "Fine, we promise not to drag you back to Adam as long as you promise to stay away from newborns when you see an amulet with any one of our names on it." And she, of course, she agrees. And yet she still has this reputation as kind of this very dangerous demon, right? You also might have seen people wearing a red string or tying something red that also protects against Lilith and against demons. And we see these amulets, throughout tradition, in different ways that you might protect yourself from demons.
Yeah, and amulets don't have to just be something worn around their neck. I mean, they could be like Scrooge McDuck and his lucky dime that he wears, but we see this over and over again. A lucky clover, the ring from the rings, those shiny red shoes, Felix Felicis, or even Doctor Strange's Eye of Agamotto, which he does wear around his neck. It's the source of some of his magical powers, but it also, I think, harkens back to that idea of the evil eye, which we see in comics all the time, here shown as a gigantic eye sending out these rays to attack our heroes.
Right, and in Jewish tradition, the evil eye, the Ein Hara, is actually really dangerous. It says that we can cause harm to another person by giving them the evil eye, right? So if you're like my grandmother, if you say something good, you follow it by poo 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 instead of actually spitting 3 times, or you may have heard Kanahora. But that we have to be careful that our tradition says that if someone is jealous, that jealousy can actually cause harm. It's a reminder for us about not being jealous as well. But one of the things that can protect you from the evil eye is a Hamsa. This is not actually traditionally a Jewish amulet. It comes from the Middle East. It might have been the hand of Ishtar, but it gets, especially in Sephardic Judaism, it becomes this Jewish symbol. So you might find them with a chai in it, right? It becomes this Jewish symbol as a way to protect against the evil eye.
Yeah, I played around with it a little myself in my art. I made this variation on a Hamsa out of Spider-Man comics. You may notice that it's not the traditional hand shape, but rather Spider-Man's gesture he makes when shooting his webs, which is something he does to protect people. And so I liked the idea that the protection of the Hamsa was mirrored in the sort of protection that we read in these comic book stories.
Now, you might need something a little bit larger for protection. An amulet might not cut it. And in that case, you might need something human-sized or larger. And we have stories and folktales and legends about the Golem, right? A Golem is made out of clay, and like the legendary Golem of Prague, who protects the Jewish community, we see golems as protectors in many Jewish stories. But they've also influenced monster stories, including a very popular monster story this time of year, Frankenstein.
I believe it's pronounced Frankenstein.
So, well,
I can't resist a Mel Brooks joke.
So, the Frankenstein story is based in a Jewish story. It's not exactly a Jewish story, even with the name. And we're going to actually talk a lot more about that on Sunday. If you are still interested in joining us to create golems, we'll go into much more detail about where golems come from. But we've now looked at all these different types of witches and golems and demons and kind of the Jewish supernatural spooky stuff. And the question is, so what do we do with that, right? Our tradition kind of says it's okay to study it for the sake of studying it, but you shouldn't actually practice witchcraft. And that's because our tradition is really practical about it. The Talmud's answer to what do you do about demons? If you're not worried about demons, demons are not worried about you. So if you aren't concerned with demons, you don't need to be concerned about demons. They're not going to bother you. However, you might still be worried, in which case, the Talmud also tells us the nighttime Shema will protect you from nighttime demons.
Well, perfect, because we all said the Shema together this evening already.
Yes, so you're covered, at least this evening. We tell these stories in Jewish tradition and pop culture, and we tell ghost stories, right? Because they help us deal with things that we're afraid of, to help us make sense of times that we're vulnerable and when we are in danger that we can't see and we can't control. And so we wind up giving these demons names, creating ways to deal with them. The spooky kind of takes away some of that anxiety and helps us find a sense of calm. So we began this evening with a meditation for wholeness and peace and breathing in. And Shabbat is supposed to bring us that island of calm to help us fully relax and reset. And so one of the ways tradition says that happens is that when we breathe in, we achieve that sense of calm, that we receive an extra soul that travels with us on Shabbat. And that extra soul brings us comfort, freedom from our fears and anxieties, and that sense of wholeness and peace that we're looking for. And in fact, Rashi says that that extra soul also allows you to eat more delicious Shabbat food at the oneg. So our prayer for you is that may this Shabbat bring you that feeling of calm and comfort, strength to face the things that you are afraid of, both real and imagined, and that sense of wholeness and peace. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Oh, thank you so much, Isaac and Rabbi Shauna. That was amazing, and I loved seeing all of those images that you were able to weave so effortlessly into your teaching. So thank you very, very much. And as Isaac and Rabbi Shauna mentioned, on Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, the time in Indiana, we will be having, they will be leading us in a hands-on make your own golem workshop. Now you may say, how can it be hands-on? Because they're sitting in Southern California and we're sitting here. It's going to be offered via Zoom. However, we have materials for you to use. So here's the deal. We have had this as an RSVP event, and technically the deadline is passed. And I will say this will be the one Shabbat ever that I will take a look at email. So if you want to let me know that you want to come tomorrow and you have not RSVP'd, go ahead and do that. That's if you're hearing my voice on Friday night, do that. But you will need, in order to participate and be able to have like the hands-on part, you will need to come to the temple tomorrow morning. And you can do that between 9:45 and 11:30. So between 9:45 and 11:30 tomorrow, or if you're in the room tonight, you can take an envelope of materials with you. So you can join us on Sunday at 2 o'clock. If you have not RSVP'd, if you can get here between 9:45 and 11:30 tomorrow to pick up the materials. So we'd love to have you join us. And there was something else I wanted to say about that, but if it's important, it will come up. It will come to me. Now I'd like to share. I have some information that you need to hear, you need to know about, and to deliver this very important information, I'd like to invite Mike Rush, our board member and usher extraordinaire, to the bima, and he can let you know what is going on, and there is a lot.
Having heard that Devar, shades of Frau Blucher. Thank you. By the way, Blucher in German means glue, and that's why the horses were having a hard time with that, just in case you want to know. Well, Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and to all who are here in the temple and all of you who are in the temple by Zoom. Welcome to all of you. Here are a few announcements that are, I think, important for you to hear. Please continue to take care of everyone's health, and thank you for keeping us safe by continuing to wear a mask inside. Aside from having an opportunity tomorrow morning to pick up the Golem materials, join us tomorrow morning at 9:45 for our Shabbat service. This will be in the chapel. Corned beef sandwich, big deal. This is our major fundraiser. Pre-order is available until Wednesday, November 3. I'm seeing a lot of cheering going on back here.
We love our corned beef.
November 3 at 12 noon. You can place your orders online or by calling the temple office. Note that we are no longer selling salamis. Issue there, long story. Plan to join us Friday evening Shabbat service at 6 p.m. in person, online, or as we celebrate consecration and honor Bruce Colgrove. Well, that's next Friday,
Yes, next Shabbat.
the next Shabbat. The temple office is selling signed books regarding Squirrel Hill by Mark Oppenheimer for $25. And please call the temple office to place your order. They are there, and it's a little bit of a better deal going through the temple office. Want to thank you to our temple staff, for Samara running Zoom tonight, and for our security team, to Rabbi Meir Bargeron. Thank you so much for another splendid, exciting Shabbat. And also we thank Ron and Pam Friedman for leading services this weekend. And I wish all of you a very good Shabbos.
Shabbat shalom. Thank you, Mike. So another word about the workshop on Saturday. So I kind of opened up a can of worms. So I want to make sure I'm giving everyone the information they need to have. So in order to be able to participate, if you haven't already RSVP'd and got the link from us, you need to send an email to rabbi@templecav.org, rabbi@templecav.org. That way we can send you the Zoom link that you'll need to have to join us Sunday at 2:00. So you'll need a Zoom link, and you'll need a packet of materials that you can get between 9:45 and 11:30 on Saturday morning. One more thing I want to mention, we will have on November 10th, we will have joining us Rabbi Laura Geller, who will be teaching us about our own, something we are each engaged in every moment, whether we are 5 years old or whether we are a little more than 5 years old. Each one of us is moving forward on the timeline. We are all aging. And she will be teaching a workshop called Getting Good at Getting Older, which is inspired by her book of the same name. She is really an authority in putting a Jewish lens to the process of aging. And she'll be joining us by Zoom on Wednesday, November 10th. You'll find at 7 p.m. and you'll find more information on that on the Temple website, in our email, and on our Facebook page. So I hope you can join us. It's going to be a really great workshop. And if you RSVP by November 2nd, you will receive a copy of her book, and at no cost to you. And we're grateful for the support of the Salem Foundation for bringing Rabbi Laura Geller to town, as well as, this is what I forgot and needed to mention, as well as allowing Isaac and Rabbi Shauna Bringegard-Bialik to be with us tonight. So we're very grateful to the support of the Salem Foundation. And now with that, I need a breath. I don't know about you. Now let us begin to conclude our service. We'll turn together to page 586. Page 586 for Aleinu. Please rise as you are able. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו echad. You may be seated for a moment. Let us turn now together to page 598. Page 598. We've come to the time when we remember those who are no longer with us, those who have left a person-shaped hole in our heart, those folks in our families, our friends, and those in our community. In a moment, I will read our communal Kaddish list, and when I come to the end of that list, I'll pause and invite you to add the names of anyone who you are remembering this Shabbat. And if you're joining us by Zoom, go ahead and, if you want, type the name of anyone you're remembering so that we can pray and remember with you. This Shabbat continues the period of Shana, the death within the past year of Ron Subik, Harold Prigozhin, Sarah Lee Levin, Marilyn Salin, Marvin Krell, Jack Rosenberg, Leah Batmanasha Vabaila, Kathy Jarvis, James Lieb, Norman Snow, Paul Schwartz Jr., Joan Kramer, Carol Friedman, Marvin Crystal. This Shabbat is the yahrzeit, the anniversary of death of Sonia Abrams, Goldie Appel, Ida Blumenthal, Samuel Brooks, Elliot Burkhart, Lena Dinnerstein, George Fregmeyer, Alfred Stern Engelhard, Diane Irvin, Alice Golden, Mitchell Goldstein, Lee Gottlieb, Bertha F. Gross, Charles Gubitz, Seth Aaron Horwitz, Myron M. Horwitz, Esther E. King, Esther Krakauer, Arlene Lieb, Harold Lesser, Enid Lesser, Dina Levant, May Levy, Margaret Marin, Peggy Murphy, Eli Nerdlinger, Art Perlman, Hillary Radovich, Dorothy Reynolds, Henrietta Rothschild, Gittel Ravel, Sadie Rush, Regina Safferstein DeLerner, Minnie Moyer Sapiri, Jack Schwartz, Robert E. Shine, Kathleen Shine, Mrs. Harry Silberg, David Lester Smith, Matilda Stiefel, Joseph Sweedler, Alfred S. Weil, Adolf Wetstein, Louise A. Whittlefield, Rosa Zweig. And to these names we add
Richard Godfrey, murdered in Pittsburgh Creek.
and remember all those who perished in Pittsburgh at the Tree of Life. Let us join together on page 598 and rise as we are able in solidarity for Kaddish Yatom, the mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, ve'alma divra cheruteh ve'amlik malchuteh, v'chayachon v'yomachon v'chayeh dekol beit Israel, bagala uvizman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mavarach le'olam ulmei almaya, yitbarach v'ishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitnoram v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitalev v'yithalal shemei dekudesha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'yirshirata, tush bechata v'nechamata, damiran be'elma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Please be seated. And now as we prepare to go off into a cold and wet Indiana evening, I hope it's better if you're somewhere else. I would like to rejoice in our community and being able to come together tonight. And I'd like to do that, I would like to offer the Birkat Kohanim, the priestly blessing to each of you. And I hope as you hear this blessing, you offer it back to me. I can use your blessings as well. Yivarechacha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and keep you. Ya'er Adonai panav alecha v'chunecha. May God's face shine upon you and be gracious to you. Yisa Adonai panav alecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God turn toward you and grant you peace. And together let us say, Amen. It has been wonderful to see all of you here tonight and those of you joining us at home. Thank you again to Isaac and Rabbi Shauna Brinjagard Bialik for bringing us just a really dazzling teaching. It's just wonderful. We're so privileged to have you with us tonight and privileged to have you continue to teach us on Sunday afternoon. So thank you again. As we move out into our night, perhaps heading to our Shabbos dinner, in lieu of the onig that I look forward to us having someday, but instead on Thursday, we're going to have corned beef, just saying. I will offer a short kiddush. Please join me. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen l'chaim. Shabbat shalom, everyone.